What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So we are going to look at the Newsnight programme with Emma Barnett that aired yesterday. On the show they are discussing the possibility that a no-deal Brexit could mean dairy farmers in Northern Ireland have to cull about 45,000 dairy cattle, since they send around 800 million litres of milk to the Republic of Ireland to be processed. Now that sounds like a lot, and that's what the BBC want you to believe, but trust me, it's really not. The host Emma Barnett once again follows Cathy Newman's style of interviewing people she disagrees with, as you will see. So let's check out the first clip.
So, Elizabeth, what have we learned about this and what are some of the details?
Well, Emma, so we know that concerns about a no-deal Brexit scenario in Northern Ireland, they're pretty well documented, but we're talking here very specifically about the dairy industry, which is a pretty important part of the rural economy in Northern Ireland, and it's also very integrated between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So a third of the milk that's produced in Northern Ireland basically goes to the Republic to actually be processed, turned into things like milk powder and to cheese. So if that trade stops suddenly, then farmers are basically stuck with it. They've got this big glut of milk. Not all of it can be processed in the UK, either in Northern Ireland or other parts of the UK. So pretty quickly, farmers are going to be having to turn to think, what do we do about this? How do we reduce the herd numbers? And what does that mean? Well, that potentially could mean culling. And the experts we've spoken to say that could be, in a worst case scenario, in the region of 45,000 dairy cattle.
Lizzie's still with me. Are there any other options?
Well, the experts we've spoken to say, nothing is certain, but culling is a very real prospect. And the scenarios we're talking about are already taking into consideration the fact that the industry would try to process as much as physically possible in Northern Ireland and would try perhaps to move some of the product to other parts of the UK for processing. But we are talking, as we've said, about very large quantities of milk, a third of Northern Ireland's output. So you could still be looking at that scenario where some of it just can't be dealt with, and then the farmers have to look to reduce the herd. Now, I spoke to one expert who said that could actually be in a matter of weeks after we left the EU with no deal. Others said to me, possibly months.
I mean, there could be people watching this who think you're becoming a pawn in Project Fear. What would you say to that, and have the government responded?
They certainly would, and I'm sure they will. What I would say is these figures are speculative, that's true, but they do come from experts. There are people who are saying, whoa, let's not talk about culling yet, that might not happen, and of course that's absolutely right. Solutions may be found, DEFRA may have a plan up its sleeve, but as things stand at the moment, we've been speaking to experts who are saying, government ministers have been made aware of these issues, particularly, culling is part of warnings they've been giving for the last couple of years on all kinds of things in this area, and they described the reaction from ministers as a metaphorical shrugging of the shoulders. Now, we put this to DEFRA tonight, and in a statement they told us that the widespread cull of livestock is absolutely not something that the government anticipates, nor is it planning for in the event of no deal, and they say they continue to work very closely with the industry.
Elizabeth Glinker, thank you.
Okay, so we start off with this BBC reporter sitting there spouting shit about the 45,000 cows, as I had said, being culled, and a third of Ireland's milk, which works out to be around 800 million litres. Sounds like a lot, don't it? But what she does not tell you is that the UK produces 14 billion litres of milk a year. So 800 million litres is around 5% of the UK's total output. And considering we export 3% of our milk, we are only talking about a 2% drop in production in real terms. If you factor in us not exporting that anymore since we can't trade with the EU, which is bollocks of course, we will still trade with the EU, but let's go with the Ramona's way of looking at it. As for the bullshit about 45,000 cows being culled, that is not going to happen. They could make other dairy products with the milk from them cows and sell it around the world. These are businesses. They won't just kill money. And at the end of the day, in the extremely unlikely event that they did, 45,000 cows being culled would be no big deal. There is 1.86 million dairy cows in the UK, making 45,000 equal to about 2% of UK dairy cattle. Hardly the disaster these disingenuous cumbuckets on the BBC would have you believe, is it? We literally export next to no milk at all. So maybe they can use this 800 million litre surplus to start doing that. You know, WTO terms that the other 165 countries on the planet use? Nice little earner there maybe for a farmer. Of course, the BBC won't tell you that, will they? At the end, the reporter does state it's all speculation, which prompts Emma to point out people might call her another Project Fear merchant. Let me tell you something, that is not even up for debate. But even mentioning that is about the only honest thing you have ever said on this show as its host. Now, I want you guys to remember some of the facts and figures that we've just spoke about and their complete insignificance, because she is going to really milk it. Let's move on to Emma's interview with a Tory MP, Robert Goodwill.
Joining me now is Robert Goodwill, Conservative MP, and until 2 weeks ago, a Minister in the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Good evening.
Good evening.
Is 45,000 cows a fair price to deal with the fallout from no deal, and especially when we hear ministers have been warned and they've metaphorically shrugged their shoulders?
Well, I can honestly say, hand on heart, that during the dozens of meetings I've had in no-deal planning, including meetings with the devolved assemblies, never once have we considered the culling of dairy cows in Northern Ireland, nor have we ever looked at shooting and incinerating sheep on the mainland. So I think it is another example of Project Fear. And indeed, this is something we do need to look at and manage. And indeed, I think whilst we've been very good at preparing for no-deal Brexit, I think the European Union and the Irish Republic themselves need to look at what measures they need to put in place.
I'm sorry,
we published
Mr. Goodwill.
no-deal Brexit tariffs.
Sorry, Mr. Goodwill, it's not going to be the government who's planning to cull these cows to slaughter them. Of course it's not. It's farmers who are very concerned with 85 days to go that they've warned ministers about this and it's being ignored. You've just exhibited that beautifully there by just excusing it, by saying it's Project Fear. Is that all anyone in your position ever says anymore?
Well, what I was trying to say is that we've never once, at any meeting I attended, looked at culling dairy cows. I think we need to talk to the European Union about what their no-deal plans are. We've already said that we've published a tariff schedule. 87% of goods will come into the UK without tariffs. We've got measures in place to ensure that when goods come into the UK, we don't have to stop them at the border to collect tariffs. Because this won't only have an impact on dairy farms in Northern Ireland, it will have an impact on processors in the south. It will be jobs lost in the dairy industry in the south if they don't take similar action to us. So I'd urge them to look at what their no-deal preparations are to ensure that we can keep this trade flowing, because much of the liquid milk that goes south comes back again north for further processing. I was told Dairysh ice cream, for example, the milk crosses 2 or 3 times until the final product is made. So we have been working very closely. We have regular meetings with the devolved. The civil servants who are running this show in Derra in Northern Ireland are well aware of these, and we're at a high level of planning and expectation. Indeed, I think DEFRA is the best prepared department in government. It has to be, because we're facing the biggest challenges. And I'm delighted that Michael Gove is now taking over control of no-deal planning.
We'll come back to that assertion in just a moment, because people with short memories or long memories, however you choose to describe it, will remember that the man running the NHS who wanted to be the Prime Minister said that his department was the very best plan for a no-deal Brexit. So it seems to be a competition between departments. In one breath, you seem... Hang on a minute. Sorry.
Emma.
In one breath, you say, we're very prepared. In another breath, you deny the reality of farmers who have spoken to this programme. It's one thing to pass the buck to the EU, but I'll ask you a very specific question. What date are you going to tell your government, these farmers, what to do with these cows in the event of a no deal? Is it going to be on the 31st of October?
So Emma Spunk Trumpet Barnett goes straight to the 45,000 cows being culled bullshit because she wants everyone to think it's a lot and that farmers have spent thousands of each cow and is just going to kill it because of possible issues with processing milk. Wouldn't it be a far smarter idea to just throw the milk away instead of killing the fucking cow? I love how that's the fucking first thing these Ramonas go to though. Not that we can discard the milk or use it for something other than milk like cheese or something popular in another country to open up a new export market. Nope, just doom and gloom from these fuckers I see, kill the cow and that's the end of it. And let's not forget, as I've already said, 45,000 dairy cows is really fuck all in the grand scheme of things, and considering there's like 1.8 million of the bastards in the UK, we ain't gonna starve. There will be milk for our teas and coffees, come the 1st of November and every day that follows it. We don't import milk either. So yeah, Project Fear in regards to milk is really ridiculous. Why do you think the BBC are talking about Northern Irish dairy farmers exclusively and not British dairy farmers as a whole? Because they would have to admit we don't import milk and we barely export it. So these 800 million litres extra won't really make any difference. I wonder how much milk we throw away a year. Likely double that 800 million litre figure. This has to be one of the easiest Project Fear stories to debunk so far. The Tory MP debunks both this cow bullshit and the shooting sheep Project Fear crap we heard recently. As soon as he starts to point out this situation is equally the EU's fault, the commie cumbucket Emma has to shout him down and continue on her narrative I have already well and truly dismantled at this point. Why the Tory MP did not do the most basic research I have managed to do while making this video before coming on the show to prove her bullshit wrong is beyond me. Perhaps, like the media, politicians are lazy when it comes to checking out the facts, I guess. She is obsessed with this cow culling nonsense, like she really thinks people are going to slaughter animals they have invested thousands into, not only buying the cow itself but looking after it. Farmers are not in the business of wasting money. They ain't a Labour government, Emma. She is fucking incensed that this MP is exhibiting a blasé attitude towards this Project Fear campaign the dairy farmers she claims to have heard from are all complaining about. Well, there is a reason for that. Because it's a non-issue. The country will be able to absorb the 5% extra milk into other dairies around the UK for processing. There is no way in the world the whole country's dairy industry is at 100% capacity all the time. Only an idiot would believe that nonsense. And yes, Emma, to answer your question, it is just more Project Fear. The facts and figures don't lie. The Tory MP does rightly point out that there has never been discussion about culling cows because, as I have already said, we only export 3% of our milk, so Brexit's not really an issue to it, is it? Why would we cull dairy cows when they produce something we use here? The Tory MP goes back to the point he was trying to make when she rudely interrupted him, and that is that the EU need to fix their lives up and start sorting shit out because we are fucking off, you dopey spunk trumpet. He points out that the UK plans to remove tariffs on 87% of goods coming in, so the EU need to start picking up the pace. The UK is finally doing what it needs to. Emma can't have that though, can she? She goes back to these farmers she claims told her want to kill their own investments because of a no-deal Brexit. And my response to that would be, go on then, it's your fucking money. Anyone with half a brain should know these farmers are businessmen and not going to throw away their investments. Get real, you idiot. The government does not need to tell them what to do with the cows. The idiot farmers, if they are even real, need to use a bit of business sense. Either send it to a different processing plant or use it to make another dairy product. These people are adults. They don't need the government to hold their dick while they piss, for fuck's sake. They got this far on their own. I'm sure they can do it. Let's continue though.
Well, as I said, there are a number of contingencies that we've taken in preparation for no deal, and the European Union need to take similar steps. I'm a farmer myself. We're already seeing disruption in the grain markets. We understand there'll be big issues for the sheep market if we leave without a deal. So we need, I think, to work on both sides of the channel to prepare for no deal, and I think we can come to accommodations to ensure that trade continues to flow. We've done a lot on our side. I think the ball is in their court now. If no deal, as it looks likely to be as a real prospect, I think the no-deal preparations in the Union, and particularly in the Irish Republic, need to be put in place. The Irish beef market has been hit already.
Mr. Goodwill, could you
They've
answer
had
the
a
question?
£50 million...
Could you answer the question? When will the British government tell these farmers, we've been informed by industry sources that this is a real concern, when will they tell these farmers what date, what the plan is for no deal in this particular instance?
But we've already made it very clear that culling of cattle is not an option. We've never considered it. It's never been placed on the table.
It doesn't matter if
we need
you're
to
a
ensure that we
farmer.
can process the milk that we can,
I'm sorry,
and that we can
people are
get the
facing
exports
this.
flowing again.
Right. So you can't give a date, and
We
it
need to
could be
get
on the
the exports
31st.
flowing. We need to get...
I'm sorry to say,
We need to
they can't know a date from
both
that.
sides of the border understanding. We need to get understanding at both sides of the border that we need this trade to continue. We've taken steps to ensure that we can keep trade running in our direction. I think they need to take steps as well. But as I say, preparations for no deal at a high level. We've had numerous meetings with the devolved assemblies. We've had meetings on a weekly basis with the food industry, with farmers, with the food services industry, etc. So, you know, I would say that DEFRA have the biggest challenge to face, but we have stepped up to that challenge. And issues such as, for example, fish exports, issues such as the lamb market, we've got plans in place and we've been working with the industry. 75% of exporters have now got themselves up to the level of certification that they need. It's up to the rest to take steps.
Mr. Goodwill, if we could come on to your assertion that this department is the best prepared for a no deal, I need to figure out the viewers have a right to understand who's telling lies, because it was leaked yesterday that Dominic Cummings, the chief advisor to the Prime Minister, if you like, the new administration, said that the previous government, the one that you served under as a minister, you were removed from post a couple of weeks ago, namely the Chancellor, had neglected to do all sorts of no-deal planning because the government under Theresa May didn't wish to go through with no deal. You weren't prepared, according to Boris Johnson's team. So who's telling the truth, the new team or the old team?
Well, I can only speak for DEFRA, where Michael Gove was an excellent Secretary of State. He took the prospect of no deal very seriously indeed. Planning was at a high level. We had 2,500 additional civil servants who were working with the devolved assemblies, particularly the Scots, in terms of fish exports. And I believe we're as ready as we can be for a no-deal Brexit. We were ready on the 29th of March. We faced different challenges at the end of October, particularly in terms of the shortage of cold storage and the cycle of the lamb production in this country. But we are ready, and we will be ready for a no-deal Brexit. And I think that the European Union themselves need to make similar preparations so that they can come to accommodations to ensure that jobs aren't lost both sides of the border in Ireland and indeed across the European Union.
Are you saying other government departments then aren't prepared for a no deal if you're so assured of DEFRA?
Well, I wasn't involved in other government departments, and some government departments have much less exposure. You know, the International Development Department has less exposure. The Health Department were very concerned about drug imports and about access to staff. But, you know, we have particular problems given our reliance on food imports. And in the case of sheep meat and some other products, particularly fish, we export most of the fish that we catch, and we import most of the fish that we eat. We're at a high level of preparedness for a no-deal Brexit. And I think as things are unfolding, it's looking more likely that we'll be facing a no-deal Brexit, and that's why it's very important that work continues to be done. And I'm delighted that Michael Gove, who made such progress at DEFRA, is now in charge of the overall show. He was at Dover today looking at levels of preparation there. So I'm confident we're as ready as we can be. There may well be a number of issues that come up unexpectedly. We had one when I was there in terms of heat-treated pallets. You can't import goods into the European Union unless it's either on a new pallet or a heat-treated pallet. We discovered that. We're taking steps to address that. So there may be unexpected problems that we face, and that's why I believe in the early days of a no-deal Brexit we need to work very quickly to come to accommodations on a number of issues. And I think the European Union themselves will be prepared to compromise, because this will mean jobs on their side of the channel as well as on ours.
Mr Goodwill, thank you very much for your time. As you say, you've prepared as well as possible.
My pleasure.
The test will be, I suppose, what happens.
OK, so the Tory MP admits there may be problems in a no-deal scenario, but the EU needs to do its part to prevent that because, of course, it's not the UK a no-deal Brexit will hurt the most. It's the EU nations who buy the shit we sell and export their goods to us. This is another reason why all this Project Fear bullshit is exactly that, a load of bullshit. These countries need the trade we do with them. All nations will make sure shit still flows, you better believe it. Money talks and bullshit walks. Let's not forget, no deal also makes trading with other nations outside the EU easier. So we may not even need to sell anywhere near as much to the EU as we did before, because other nations could easily take more than the EU currently does. No mainstream media outlets will point that out though. She interrupts him yet again to ask the same nonsensical questions about the government telling these people how to run their businesses. Please fuck off, Emma, you're just embarrassing yourself now. He tries to point out that we can process it, but she is just shouting over him rather than letting him answer the question. It was never discussed because it is ridiculous. It's a bit like this interview. He points out we are doing what we need to in order to protect trade, but the EU is not. Of course, Emma is a pawn of the EU, so she won't have any blame laid upon them by this Judas. She might even be worse than Cathy Newman at this point. She finishes off talking about Dominic Cummings' factually correct claims that Phillip Hammond, the previous Chancellor of the Exchequer, neglected to do no-deal planning when Maybot was in charge because they did not want to leave the EU without a deal. Emma, you stupid bitch. It was the BBC Panorama programme what broke that story about Phillip Hammond's treachery, you fucking idiot. It's not a claim, it's a known fact. Phillip Hammond admitted not telling businesses to prepare for no deal. I spoke about it in a video, you imbecile. Newsnight discussed that show 2 hours after it aired. You would know this and have conveniently left it out. Don't you think the viewers have a right to know that, you lying spunk trumpet? Surprise, surprise though, she gets her "so you're saying" line in there instead. Straight out of the Cathy Newman handbook on how to interview people you don't like. She is literally becoming the Cathy Newman clone. Let's move on to her talking to the Ramona Justin King, who is a board member for Marks and Spencer. So you know where his affiliation lies when it comes to the UK versus the EU.
Joining me now, Justin King, for 10 years the CEO of Sainsbury's and currently a board member at Marks & Spencer. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, you should be feeling very reassured. You've just heard that DEFRA is the most prepared unit of the government. It's now, of course, the man in charge of no deal planning used to run that department. Are you reassured?
Well, my own view watching that interview is that it was a fairly scary 5 minutes. I think it demonstrated completely that there is not adequate preparation for no deal. I don't know if you read between the lines of what the former minister was saying, but he said, in essence, their preparation on milk in Ireland is to ask the European Union to waive the tariff on milk. As your article showed earlier, if there is a tariff on milk, which, of course, is the current state of play once we're outside the European Union, that business no longer works. An 18 pence a litre tariff is going to kill that trade. And one of the things that your article demonstrated is quite how integrated Ireland is, particularly in agricultural produce. And of course, that's one of the reasons why the backstop has been such a significant issue in this debate.
But I suppose the bigger picture for consumers is when they walk into a supermarket the day after a no-deal Brexit, or perhaps the day after that, is it going to look any different? Are there going to be gaps on the shelves?
Well, look, I think you have to read between the lines of what the government have been saying in the last week or so. Barely a week or so ago, the Prime Minister said that a no-deal Brexit was a 1 in a million chance. That's now moved to the central planning assumption, and I think you just heard the former minister there saying that that seems a pretty sensible assumption now to make. Michael Gove today talked about, as you said at the top of the programme, bumps in the road. I think that's political speak for some significant problems looming. And
so to answer the question, when you walk into a supermarket, will it be different?
Well, the key question is, will the border function smoothly? And I think what we've heard today is the answer to that question is no. You also reporting today on the BBC that the government's expectation is something like 50% of lorries will not pass smoothly through the border. I mean, there is an obvious question.
Hang on, just to try and get to this answer then, you faced this in the past. Supermarkets have had to cope, for instance, with strikes at Calais. June 2015, stack up of lorries on the M22, 26 miles of road shut. Supermarkets still opened and sold food.
Of course it did, but it led to very significant availability issues.
You are nimble as businesses.
Absolutely, and supermarkets will do whatever they can to cope with the disruption. But let's be clear, there's about 10 days of food in the UK in total.
Right.
Obviously, a lot more than that in packaged goods and in frozen, so a very small number of days in fresh food. The kind of disruption that the government is talking about today, 50% of vehicles being held up, will lead to gaps on the shelves within a week in the UK. Significant gaps, because something between 30 and 40% of our produce at that time of the year is coming from the European Union,
so
predominantly
if you were
Spain.
to estimate how many substitutions in your online order?
Well, you can't think of it in those terms, I don't think, because it depends on...
Most people haven't run a supermarket, so I'm trying to put it in terms that we understand as consumers.
Look, the issues are interwoven, because the first thing will happen when there's any sense there's a shortage of supply, I would expect customers will start stocking up. There's no realistic prospect of supermarkets. No, I haven't.
Would you?
No, I don't think I would, although I have a confession to make that in the early 1970s, because I'm that old, that's what my mum did when there were food shortages.
So why wouldn't you stockpile if you say that there are these shortages, knowing what you know?
Well, because I think that in the end, and it's one of the reasons you've seen the FDF today talk about the government waiving competition policy, is that if people act in a collective way, buy only what they need, then if there are shortages, then they will have much less impact. That's why the industry wants to work together.
You've just therefore proven the point that we can cope. That if we do have these moments of innovation, perhaps it will fall to businesses, not politicians, to do this, to think of things like waiving the competition law.
You can't cope if the product isn't in the UK. Between 30 and 40% of what we will be eating come October the 31st, crosses the channel. The government is now today saying 50% of lorries will be held up in some way. I mean, there's an obvious question, which is which 50%, because I'm sure we don't know the answer to that. That will lead if it contains fresh food, to shortages in days. If consumers start to stock up, those shortages will accelerate. It's
but
clear.
You're not stocking up.
Well, because
Even though you know this and you say you're concerned by
because
it. Why don't you lead by example and start stockpiling?
Well, because I think that's a terrible thing to do. I hope that that disruption won't happen. I personally think.
But the point is, people would say you're part of, as someone who's advocated remaining, you're part of this whole fear thing.
No, quite the opposite, actually.
You're not believing your own fear if you're not having to stockpile like the 70s.
I think quite the opposite, actually. I think that the reality is that we are now discussing a Brexit which looks nothing like a Brexit we have ever discussed before. We had a situation in the last few days where Dominic Raab said that a no-deal Brexit had been discussed in the referendum. It was not. There's no evidence that it was. We're starting to see, slowly but surely, secret advice that the government has given the industry come out into the public. Just today, the government saying 50% of lorries are likely to be held up at the border, and we're starting to understand the real consequences of that change.
But as someone who's had to plan, are you not then reassured by the money that is being spent? 2.1 billion set aside for Brexit no-deal planning. You can't have it both ways, saying it's a waste of money to plan for this, and then when the government do plan, you're still saying it's not going to work.
But it doesn't solve the problem. Planning to be able to park 10,000 lorries, that's what a lot of that money has been spent on the M20, the M26, on an airport in Kent, doesn't solve the problem, which is those lorries will contain product which should be on the shelves. Those lorries will be inactive. I mean, there aren't 10,000 spare lorries waiting to be parked up doing nothing. So the reality is that we will see very significant, in the short to medium term, because of course the industry will innovate in the longer term to solve the problem, impact on availability.
But in the short term, you think we will see different things or not things on our shelves?
If 50% of lorries get held up at the border, we will see significant issues with availability in grocery stores.
Thank you for your time this evening.
So this Ramonin fuckpig is stuck on the EU needing to waive a tariff for milk, when, as I have already said, there won't be any need. We export 3% of our yearly milk production. I'm sure someone else will buy it, as we won't have tariffs on it, you complete dickhead. This guy is full of the usual Project Fear bullshit we are all so used to now. He is only interested in reading between the lines to further the narrative he needs to push. The shelves won't be empty any more than they are now. If the EU don't want to trade, then we can trade with everyone else. It's not really that difficult, you moron. Everything with him is negative, but the BBC host does not grill him like she did the Tory MP. I wonder why that is. She does point out that Calais has been closed before and we didn't starve. Shit, in 2015 I didn't even notice shops being out of anything, so I would say them shortages could not have been that significant really, could they? He claims there is 10 days of fresh food in the UK, and so a slowdown at the border is going to affect that. Okay mate, I get there may be some delays, but it's not going to be a 10-day delay, is it? Not even one fucking day. We might be talking a few hours or so. Plus in 10 days we can fly or ferry food in from any one of the other 165 nations around the world. It's just complete bullshit this guy is coming out with. It's not exactly rocket science, is it? We just buy stuff from elsewhere. When he was asked what things will be missing from your online shopping order, he could not even answer it. Because of course, nothing will be missing from the shelves that is not out of stock for the normal reasons things go out of stock while we're still in the EU, like now for instance. Supply and demand tosspot. Instead, he blames this so-called panic buying that won't happen. It's not a zombie apocalypse. The fucking Germans ain't coming to get us, are they? We are leaving the EU, not the planet for fuck's sake. It's a customs union. I mean, if this geezer thought he'd get away with it, he would say after a no-deal Brexit, rain will cease to be wet because the EU needs to give us a deal so water remains wet. You're a complete joke, mate. The reason you wouldn't stockpile food while sitting there claiming others will is because you know this is another fabrication by the Project Fear merchant to control the mind of the sheeple. Really, the reason he won't stockpile food is because he's hoping to get the government to waive the competition laws, allowing the food industry to work together when deciding pricing and supply, meaning they can control how much food goes where and how much it costs, which is currently against the law for obvious reasons like price gouging through limiting stock availability. And obviously, with the easy fall guy of a no-deal Brexit to cling on to, they would rip the arsehole out of the consumer. Remember guys, a business's number one concern is to make money. If the government allows them to break competition laws, it really won't be good for us. He tries to claim he is not part of Project Fear, but we all know he is on the show to push Project Fear. Emma is enraged he won't stockpile food because if he said he would, that would encourage viewers to do it. She'll probably grill him afterwards. The whole interview was a complete joke and full of contradictions and outright lies. Standard Ramona segment from the BBC then. The Tory guy was attacked and shouted down multiple times, with the host using the good old "so you're saying" line on him because he did not fall into her traps. Like I said, she is the BBC's Kathy Newman clone. Well, I'm going to end the video there, guys. I'm sorry it was such a long one. Let me know what you think of this complete shit show down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.